This episode is sponsored by Nostalgia. When you want to remember the good parts of your childhood, try Nostalgia. May cause feelings of regret or melancholy, and a blind allegiance to things that are objectively terrible. Ask your doctor if nostalgia is right for you.
You're listening to the Wicked Theory Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the new iteration of the Wicked Theory Podcast. So, yeah, some things have changed, but I'm still Bill Sweeney, okay? So, check that off your boxes. Yeah, I mean, things are changing, but they're not quite changing, but they are changing. So, let's get all this out of the way. This show still has one rule, basically. It's in 3 parts. You might be familiar with it. It goes, no sports, no politics, no math. And that's just the way it is. But there's a new tagline that's going to help you understand the plan for me going forward. You might have seen it, seen it somewhere. I might have tweeted it out or Instagrammed it. And that goes like new format, same rules, more fun. Let me break it down. The new format is like it's a one-on-one interview sort of thing. You'll see. I'm going to get into it with the guest in a minute. But most of those shows that are one-on-one interviews, they're all kind of the same. You know what I mean? I want this to be a little different. I want this to be something different. I want this to be, I don't know, dare I say, fun? I do. I do dare say it, and I did. And if you got a problem with that, let me know. All right? I probably won't do anything about it, but just, let me know. But I know you're thinking, Bill, like, what's that going to sound like? And, you're going to hear it in a minute, so relax. It's coming. Just chill. Other things to note, long-time listeners, you guys are going to hear familiar bits and games, and then familiar voices. But you're also going to hear, like, new games and bits, and then new voices. This one here, I'm kind of throwing the format in, so it's going to be very familiar for you guys. And I hope it's a lot of fun for anybody who's listening, because that's kind of the point, too, is that, like, it shouldn't matter to you who's the guest. If you know me, at least, then that should be fun for you, because if it's fun, if I'm having fun and the guest is having fun, I think the math works out that you should be having fun. But, as I said, there's no math around here. So I shouldn't even be using that as some kind of phrase. That's not cool. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Wicked Theory. The show email is podcast@wickedtheory.com, because that's an easy way to figure it out. It's a podcast, and it's Wicked Theory. So podcast@wickedtheory.com. It seems simple. But stay tuned, okay? Because this is going to be one of those shows that's got like a little front piece and a little back piece. But on the back side, I'm going to tell you guys how to get involved with this show as it moves forward. How you can kind of submit stuff and, what I'm looking for and that kind of thing. And we'll have some fun with that at the end. So let me just get into the guest piece here, the introduction. Let's move this along. Let's get this show started. The first person I've chosen to sit through this gauntlet of, I don't know what to call it yet, is none other than Grant Markham. He's on Twitter at Insta_Grants2. GRANTS, the number 2. There'll be a link in the show notes. Point being, he's the first friend I made in podcasting, I'm pretty sure. And why him? Well, first of all, mind your business. I do what I want here, okay? But why not him? He's a lot like me. He's a pop culture junkie. He's been known to podcast, and he's been on a bunch. And no, I won't list them all. You should go look them up. You just look them up. It's 2019, for Pete's sake. Welcome to the internet. You found this show somehow. But also perhaps an important reason is that he has this mustache, and it's like a see it to believe it kind of thing. It's like, hey, people still do that to their face in this day and age? No, I'm only teasing him because to tease is to love, and we don't tease people we don't like. We just be quiet around them. Isn't that the truth? Like, you don't bust the chops of a person you don't like. You know, you only do it with the person that, like, you do like and you know will be able to handle it and roll with it. So you'll see some of that going on in the beginning for sure. Um, hey, it's a huge mustache. What do you want me to tell you? I'm pretty sure it exists like in 2 different time zones. So it has to be discussed. All right. So, you know what? Let's just start right here, right now. We'll start it up with some semi awkward questions because that's the way I want to start the show and make the guest feel comfortable, but not too comfortable. I want them to have fun, but not too much fun. No, that's not true. I want them to have nothing but fun, as you'll see rolling forward. So let's get into those weird, awkward, uncomfortable questions. Grant Markham, is it true that your children gather under your mustache to avoid the rain?
It is. It's partly true. It is certainly big enough.
I mean, that thing is like, it's legendary. It's legendary.
I've been told it's legendary. I often get, they'll hold Pringles cans next to my face and take selfies.
It's looking more and more like you are the world's biggest fan of Mr. Robot. And you're like, you know what, that mask they use, that's me.
Why didn't I go for that for Halloween?
Ah, shit. Did you have a Halloween party this year too?
I did not, but I thought to myself, I don't have a Halloween costume.
But not for nothing, a tuxedo, like top hat, like, you know, Mr. Pennyworth or Wigglesworth or some shit with that mustache is like, you could just make up a character like when you.
Well, if I would have worn a top hat and a tuxedo, they would have thought that I was the Monopoly man.
Well, that's kind of what I'm going for a little bit, like, you know, because that's the thing from that Mr. Robot mask a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
I mean, it's straight out of a circus from 1935, but it works on you, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, like is that what
Yeah, you're the ringmaster.
Oh my God, I could have went as a ring. Where the hell are you when I'm trying to think of Halloween ideas?
Are you writing these down? Are you writing this down?
My kids are constantly, Dad, what are you going to dress up for? I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to dress up. Well, you got to get a costume. I don't have a costume. Then 2 seconds on a mic with you, and you've got 150 ideas.
It was 2, but you know, we don't do math. We don't do math here. We don't.
There's
do
no math.
There's no math.
Same difference.
But is it? But I did hear. I think you were telling me, or somebody told me, your kids actually are not embarrassed by this mustache. They're
wow.
No, but I mean, well, to phrase it that way, but they're cool with it. They're into it.
They actually. I recently caught my beard on fire. You'll notice. That the entire
right.
all the hair that used to be about 4 to 6 inches off my chin is completely gone.
Oh shit. Okay, right.
I caught that on fire, and when I called to tell them that, they were concerned, in fact, that I had lost the mustache.
Right.
And jokingly, I said, "Yeah, I got to get rid of the mustache because I thought it was finally a way out." And they both came unglued. No, Dad, you can't get rid of the mustache. And I'm like, yeah, but I think there's a couple burnt hairs. Cut the burnt hairs, you know.
Just trim around it.
Yeah, and so that's in fact what I did. So I didn't get rid of it. And I always, here's the thing. I actually asked my wife as well. I said, hey, if I do you want me to get rid of the mustache? You know, will I be more attractive to you if I get rid of the mustache? And she was like, no. But her no wasn't like, it was kind of like it's a neither here nor there as to whether or not it would increase my attractiveness.
Right, it was more like no.
Yeah,
like that's not going to help you.
Exactly.
You're still not getting any.
Right. I didn't know what to do with that situation, but yeah.
There was no win.
And then my daughter always complains. Well, let me take that back. She doesn't complain. She always points out that I can't get away with lying because the caterpillar on my face wiggles when I'm lying.
When you're like just because you're internally like giggling or smirking, and so
it moves or something. I have no idea. It must be like I guess if I was playing poker, it'd be my tell.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say you've got a tell now, and your daughter is sharp enough to notice it. So you better watch that one. You better watch out.
Then she always likes to yank on it and try and pull it off my face, and I'll shave it. No, can't shave it.
So I was thinking as you were talking that maybe Uncle Sam for a costume idea then?
He doesn't have the mustache, does he?
I
He's
know.
just.
Well, you could turn it down, but I mean, because you mentioned that you had the long goatee on the
I
chin
did.
going.
It's gone.
So if you end up bringing it back, I think you can make something happen with that, or Colonel Sanders, or something like that. You know.
Yeah, I get the whole, hey, where's my bucket of chicken at work, like almost every day. It's like people aren't that
You gotta
comic
shut them down.
savvy
You
with
gotta
their.
shut them down. You gotta shut them down. I heard it. I heard it. Next time you see me, have something better. Just
Yeah,
call them on it. Call them on
it's
it.
the same thing day in and day out. Like I've had this for I don't know 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
I did come across a picture where I was clean shaven and I was like, who the hell is that? Oh, that's me.
Oh, that's me.
I looked like I looked like I was 20.
I was a
You know,
good-looking guy.
the nice thing about this mustache is I get so much attention and I gain the attraction of so many women. Now, mind you, it's the God's honest truth. Now, mind you, though, those women are somewhere between 75 and 85, right?
Right. Women who were
And
alive when this was a trend.
that's correct.
Right.
But boy, I'll tell you what, I still eat up the compliments. I'll take them where I can get them.
Hey, you know.
I'm down at the local gas station. There's a lady there, and she's got to be in her late 60s, early 70s, and without fail, every time I'm in there, oh, you're so handsome with that mustache, and it chills me it just warms the cockles of my heart.
Listen, old ladies like that, they're nice. They talk to you like they talk to a dog or like a little kid. Everybody they talk to, hey, how's it going? Oh my gosh. Oh wow. You know, it doesn't matter if you're 7 or 17. You know what I mean? Like or 37.
Conversely, the young, attractive women, they look at me like I'm a pedophile looking for a kill.
Right. Or just waiting for you to ask a weird fucking question. Like it's like this guy, something's gonna happen here. This guy is on a show. There's a camera somewhere.
The mustache membership, I mean, it has its benefits, but it certainly has its downs, if you will.
All right. So let me ask you another question.
Sure.
All right. A little bit awkward. Is it a bad thing that I consider us like really good friends, even though I haven't called you in like 2 or 3 years?
Wow.
I mean, this is on me. This is totally on me.
It's a really awkward question. No, it's not. And simply because our friendship and our connection is based on
love.
Both our mutual
just deep love.
Deep, passionate, hot, intellectual.
See, you said
love.
That stuff. I just said deep. You said hot and intellectual, which both are debatable. But go on.
No, I think it's funny that you asked that kind of question because it at the heart of it, it's a sincere question about friendship in general, which I love to talk about. Friendship is we have a mutual connection through multiple things beyond just our love for pop culture and geekdom and television and movies, right? I mean, we can have a conversation about anything,
sure,
and it becomes something.
Yes.
To both of us.
Yeah.
And the time that we have spent together, the podcasting that we've done together, the phone calls that have lasted for hours, etc., that's the foundation of our friendship. So irrelevant of how much time has gone by, every time we talk, it's like no time has gone by.
Oh.
I mean, am I right, or does that sound sad? I mean, it's true, right?
If I had a soul, I would cry. You know what I mean?
I mean, I have no doubt that after we hang up tonight and we're done with our conversation, somewhere before we hang up, you'll be like, hey, I'll get a hold of you. And I'll be like, awesome. Look forward to talking to you. And 3 or 4 years from now, you'll call me up and be like, hey, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah, you want to help me out? You want to be involved? And it's like, oh, okay. When you need me, I guess. Yeah, that's when you call. But okay, cool. I just wanted to check it out. I just wanted to make sure. I was pretty sure.
I don't think the same could be said for anybody, though, right? I don't think the same could be said for anybody. You talk to somebody, you're on a friendship basis with them. 2 or 3 years goes by, they get a hold of you, and you're like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to return that phone call.
Well, or the phone call is usually not the phone calls that we have. When those calls come from, like, the list of people for both of us, of people like you're talking about, this thing we have, that's a
Right.
short list, right? So, but
Yeah.
the majority of those calls that come out of nowhere 2 or 3 years down the line is like somebody like needing a favor, or like, I don't know, like they're getting married, so now they want to invite you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like some obligation or need. Like
They
that's
broke down on the side of the road and you were at the end of their contact list.
well, what's great is I don't drive, so no one calls me for anything car related. They know they can't get a ride from me, and maybe that's why I don't hear from people. Who knows? Who knows? Oddly enough, considering the way you replied to the previous question, this next question is what's one topic that you could talk endlessly about that you're sure people are tired of hearing you go on about? Now, I don't want to talk about this thing. I want to talk about how you can't stop talking about it.
Oh my God. I feel like that's an endless list. Like I don't think that anybody wants to hear me talk about half of the shit I talk about. Like I guess if you threw a topic at me, I'd just keep talking till you told me to shut up.
I mean, what's the problem with oranges, Grant? Let me know.
First of all, the color in and of itself leads
Right.
me to hair color, and that hair color is out. It's just out right now. It's out of season. Yeah, I don't know. What's
something that like like I don't know, that you could go on about that, like, Beth would just roll her eyes at, something the wife is probably, even if you haven't hit her with it, she's just heard
Well,
it go
now
on.
I was going to say, to be fair,
Mm.
that example in and of itself is like I know the limitations there, right? I have to live with her.
Well, that's
so
what I mean.
can't
Like,
put
like
I can't put myself in a position where I bring up that subject.
No. But that's
Just
what I
to get
mean.
that
Like,
eye roll.
like you gave it to her like 10 years ago. You put her through the ringer with it, but she still hears you like bring it up at Thanksgiving or at the basketball game for the kid. You know what I mean? Like every now and then it still comes out. And she's like, oh, here goes Grant again.
I got nothing. I mean, I could maybe that's podcasting. She hears me talk about that a ton. For as little as I do it, she hears me talk about it a lot.
Damn.
But she's always been supportive. So, but I think she's at that point where it's like she rolls her eyes because she's like, look, you're not going to do it. Just shut the hell up about it. How about I turn it back on you? You tell me.
Right.
I mean, you've been involved in so many of these long-winded conversations where even you have gotten to a point where you're like, yeah, I've enjoyed the conversation we had for 4 hours, but look,
Right.
we're about 6 hours in, and 2 hours ago I gave up, Grant, and you need to drop it.
Well, all right. If we're going to be honest and awkward, when it's me and you, I'll shift the conversation when I'm done with it. And here's the thing: like, I feel like when I know I've gotten your point, and like my problem is that I think it's the ADD that puts me sometimes like a minute and a half out from anything I'm doing or conversation I'm having, where like sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, like I've gotten everything I need to know, and I know we're gonna go round robin on this a little bit. We're really not gonna hit any more major points. So I don't know, like where are we going? Where are we going with this? And sometimes I'll bring it to a close. Whereas when I listen to you on podcasts, and like maybe you've got a little something in your craw, a little something got your dander up, and then it's like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, we need to move on.
I can fit a lot in my craw. You'll know. What would you say?
I think it's in your craw. I think you hide some in your mustache. I think the problem for you right now is you lost that goatee, so you can't hide anything in there.
Can't hide as much.
But,
yeah, I think the thing with me with those things,
mm-hmm.
The more famous ones that any of your regular listeners would know about is the Mark Maron. Does he podcast out of his garage? That went on for months on end.
There's one.
The macaroni and cheese. Is it really a dinner?
That's two.
That went on for a really long time.
Sure.
Batman being able to defeat Darth Vader, or really anyone for that matter.
Right.
By the way, I constructed an amazing argument that was just about infallible for that entire thing.
Yeah, they could.
That was I think we actually took on a serious one though at one point, which was if a tree falls in the forest, is there anyone who can?
And no one's around to hear it. Doesn't make a sound.
Correct.
Right.
And we actually took that one on for geez, I don't know, a dozen shows at least.
I remember one time you came at me for the whole GIF versus GIF. Okay.
Oh, that was another one.
And you were I think you were calling in to Wicked Theory. I was on Skype with you at some level, and you were like, I had spoken for like, I don't know, I got like 5 words out, and one of them was that, and you were like, how did you say that? What did you say? How did no, stop the machine. Stop wait. Stop the show. How did you pronounce that word? And I think instantly, because I do that thing I was just talking about, like I knew where we were going with this. I knew the bit. I knew how you get. So like I did this really fast thing where to try and shut it down. So I said to you, I'm like, all right, I know the guy who created it pronounces it one way, and that's the way you're probably supposed to pronounce it. But I've heard it so much both ways that sometimes both ways comes out of my mouth. I'll say GIF, I'll say GIF, all right? And I'm sorry about it.
I remember that moment.
I tried to shut it down. I gave all my thoughts in like one little thing, and I was like, I've got nothing else. What do you got?
And I'm going to keep going anyway, Bill, because I just want to hear myself talk.
Because I didn't make my point yet.
But that's just it, right?
Yeah.
So my problem when it comes to those things is, one, I'm trying to make the case, which is valid. I got to make my point.
Sure.
But two, long after I've made my point, I keep going because I need to know that you know that I've made my point. And if that's not enough, I need to know that you know that I know that you know.
And you know what this all is? And you know what this all is? This is this thing that happens to people when they get a little bit worked up about a topic. It's almost like, you know, when you get into an argument with somebody and like you do figure it out and it's all good.
Yeah.
But you still want to go. It's like the adrenaline is up and the agitation is up. So it's almost like, if we all concede and agree with you sometimes, then you go, what, no one wants to debate?
Yeah, but to be fair, there are some times where I have by leaps and bounds proven through logic and rationale my point, and people still refuse.
These sons of bitches, they won't bend.
Still refuse. Like the Mark Maron garage thing, come on. Like
not to get too deep into it, but people who don't know, lay it out real quick.
It's simple. Mark Maron started podcasting in what was his garage.
Correct.
For a time being, it was his garage, right?
Mm-hmm.
It stopped being his garage like 10 years later when he hadn't parked a car in it and he built an office inside a building he used to call his garage.
Right.
It's now is an external part of his home that is actually an outdoor office.
Yes.
With a door to which, is bigger than the standard door.
And dare I say, you could even call it a studio if you wanted to, because he's
Sure.
recording in there.
Sure.
So, but your feeling was kind of like that because he was calling it the garage all the time. He was trying to keep like this, like everyday Joe thing.
That's correct. And his rabid fans and followers are like, no. He podcasts out of his garage, and that's what makes him our hero. And it's like after a while, you're like, dude, he's podcasting in an office he built in a building that used to be a garage. It's not a garage. He hasn't parked a car in there in forever.
Right. I'm sure on the deed to the house and the blueprints for the property, it says garage. I'm sure it's zoned as a garage, but for
that
all
argument
intents and
went
purposes,
on for so long.
Oh yeah.
So long that argument went on.
Oh, but you know why?
It spanned because I wouldn't shut up about it.
Okay, fine, we're done. This is therapy for you. This is the last one of the the awkward phase.
Sure.
Grant, tell me something that you really like, and I'll tell you why it sucks. Maybe this isn't that awkward, but let's see what happens.
Not that awkward, but I'm trying to think. Do I really like something? I really like something? I really like. I really like pop culture.
All right.
You're gonna have to shit on everything you love now.
It may not be that hard. I have a love-hate relationship with the pop culture sometimes. Yeah, okay, how about this? How about this? All right? None of it's as good as you want it to be. Okay? I mean, I think you are a little bit like me when it comes to some of this shit. And like, it is so rare that you see something that you or I would consider like perfect, right? And this is why all of pop culture sucks, because those rarities are so few and far between that it's like, why does anybody try to pretend like they're giving it their all? Like, I watch stuff that's like kind of pretty fucking good, but I'll be livid that it's not better sometimes, because I feel like, how much money are you putting into a thing? How many great people and how much potential does like all of this stuff have? But like so much of it is mediocre. And because it's all that I got is this sea of kind of like, pretty good, that like, I just have to take it. Like, it's just, it's what's there, and it's the best there is. And every now and then you get something that's A+. And then if it's good, you still have to deal with everybody, a bunch of jerk-offs telling you, oh, it's not that great.
I'm gonna say, yeah, I can't argue with that. I will say this: as you're launching in to your little diatribe, trying to crush my dreams and my love for pop culture. As funny as you're trying to be, you're really kind of hitting it on the head with pop culture. Like, it's funny, but at the same time, you're right, because immediately when you launched into it, right from the get-go, my brain started going, oh, well, what would be considered like top notch? What would be almost flawless? And how long has it been since that happened? And I'm thinking Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, right?
Sure.
To me, that's pop culture at its finest, and not just in the fact that it's Spider-Man and it's hitting on the Marvel movie success. What it did is it subverted the Marvel movie formula that all of them have, which really shits on pop culture then, kind of, right? I mean, in a way, right?
Yeah.
But fans eat it up with blind loyalty.
Yeah, they don't know what kind of a remix they're really getting when they watch that. A lot of people.
And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse brought so much originality and something so new, and it actually utilized from a visual aesthetic pop culture. Right?
Totally agree.
I mean, old school 80s pop culture is that, I mean, that's what it was built with.
Yeah.
And then the storytelling, the originality. But how often does that happen really in pop culture?
Right.
And are like the Kardashians considered pop culture? Because I guess if you want to shit all over that, you can.
Well, I just would consider them celebrity culture in a way. Like, I don't know
celebrity culture.
Yeah, I don't know if there's
culture?
because I don't know if there's a word for it, but there's like this kind of whole other thing that's like that's semi-connected, but it's more driven by, celebrity status and fame. So it's like that Paris Hilton phenomena. Oh, why is this all coming back to sex tapes? It's the Kardashian phenomena. You know what I mean? It's this thing where like some people who are famous for famous' sake. You know what I mean? And like, or they could be like people who are entertainers too, but they're like, so much of that thing is almost its own thing. It's like, the difference between Entertainment Weekly and People Magazine. Like, you know what I mean? It's sure, like there's and sometimes the two cross over in a way, but they're almost two different spheres a little bit. So I wouldn't say the Kardashians are pop culture. Look, what they do, they have a TV show and there's a fan base. So the argument could be made that yes, whether I want to admit it or not, they actually technically are. But I feel like it's I don't know.
I think if I've gotten older though, like my love for pop culture has waned a little bit, because it seems so corporate and it seems so formulaic and it seems so it's like when I was growing up, pop culture just kind of happened, right?
So
go ahead. And now it's created in a laboratory,
right?
Does that make sense?
Well, you know what it is, right?
God, thanks for shitting on my whole thought process. Wow,
that's why we're
really
here.
Appreciate it.
That's why we're here. We're going to deconstruct you. But I do agree, and I think going on that, part of me wants to say that you know, back in the days, we all talk about back in the days. I hate starting a sentence with back in the days when I was young because I just always hated it as a kid hearing it from grown-ups. Like, you know what I mean? So it's
When
not.
I was your age.
When I was your age, everything was so much better, and it's bullshit because it's not. It really wasn't. Like, you know, we spent years growing up. Like, I can see the strings. Like, I can see, you know, the cutouts around the spaceship. I can. The black doesn't match the black of the rest of the frame. Like, I can see what's going on, but like the behind-the-scenes stuff used to not be so front and center. Like, so you didn't see the machine as much. Like, you know what I mean? Or it was only when, like, you committed yourself to being in a fandom of something. It's like the difference between being a sports fan of a team, I guess. Although I know this is a no sports zone. I'm going to try to make an analogy. Tell me if it works. It's like kind of like being a fan of a team who just kind of watches games and is kind of like into it because they're like, you know, hey, I've always been like a fan of whoever, versus somebody who's like, you know, knows the name of everybody in the back office, knows the general manager's kind of like, oh, he came from here, you know what I mean? His whole story. And like, we go down the rabbit hole more now, you know what I mean? And we've slowly gotten here over time. Sports was probably always like that to a degree anyway, like being a fan of a team. If you're a pretty like mid-level or better kind of fan, you probably know a lot about that stuff. But it seemed like for entertainment, like you would watch Entertainment Tonight and it would be like, yeah, this, that, and the other thing. But like, tonight, Scott Bakula's got a new show called Quantum Leap, premiering on NBC this Tuesday at 9 o'clock. We've got five.
You
we've got a
started with
minute.
the sports analogy, and I all of a sudden, like it was like
Perfect. That's great. Now I know.
back office fandom.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, my point was just that, like, you know, we know more now about how the sausage is made. So, it's always going to feel more like
Yeah.
corporatized.
Yeah.
And we live in an age where, like, you know, there's 6 companies now. Like that.
You enjoy this Marvel movie? It was magnificent. It was a great theater experience. Now experience the 18 hours of how we made it and all the behind the scenes where we reveal the magician's secrets.
And most of it, you in the end won't really have learned all that much. And
There
that's
goes
what pisses me off.
pop culture.
That's what pisses me off about pop culture right now. Is like, did I really just watch this thing where I learned nothing about about the movie? Like, I thought I was getting some behind the scenes stuff, and all it was like a lot of like, yeah, we really enjoyed making it.
You know,
it's
and,
like-
and that's one of the reasons I like watching, I guess, movies that I've really found myself drawn to both foreign cinema and titles that simply just don't get a lot of exposure,
Sure.
right? They're not, I've been going to the theater less and less.
Yeah, that I understand.
And it's not because I have a home theater. I don't. I got a TV and, you know, a bunch of media
basics.
subscriptions.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and some not. And it's just a raging disappointment nowadays. But some of these foreign films and these diamonds in the rough films where so many great films are being made that people aren't seeing because they're not making it to the theater. They're not making it to, they don't have, at least in my side of the country, I guess, we don't have art house cinemas.
Right.
That I perceive maybe the West probably has more of, you know, California
coasts,
or
yeah.
Hollywood. Yeah, you know, right?
Yeah.
And probably New York, I'm guessing.
Yeah, New York's got a good amount of that stuff. We got our first Alamo Draft House, and I think we're getting one here on Staten Island actually too. Like, so now I think there'll be 2
So
out
those
here in the
those
city.
films that don't get nationwide eyes put on it,
Right.
They still are getting these little releases, these little gems. And what was I listening to? I was listening to Edward Norton on Dak Shepard, Armchair Expert.
on every podcast this week. Like, he's taking the world tour by storm, pushing that movie. Woof. There's a guy you don't see, then suddenly he's everywhere.
But it's the type of cinema that just doesn't make money in the theaters anymore.
yeah.
But it's outstanding writing and directing and
Sure.
acting and et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean?
Craftsmanship. Yeah. It is the best stuff. You know what I mean? And it's
But I guess that's neither here nor there, because that stuff's not really in pop culture, right? Pop culture is, what is pop culture? Can we define pop culture? Do you know what pop culture is?
I thought it was a food group.
I feel like I have to do this.
Well, look, it's gonna say it's popular culture. It's a zeitgeisty type.
It's popular. It's popular culture. That's
culture
super
that's
popular.
popular.
Let's see if she talks to me, because I like that when that happens.
Oh, who you got to talk to your phone?
What is the definition of popular culture?
Here's the definition of popular culture. Culture based on the tastes of ordinary people rather than an educated elite.
There it is.
Those fucking elites.
That's all it takes right there. The assimilation of elements of popular culture into the fine arts is an example. But so what is that? Culture based on the tastes of ordinary people rather than educated elites.
And I think that's changed.
I don't think I've ever in all of my life ever looked up that definition, and I'm reading it now and I'm like, I'm a little fucking offended.
Well, here's the thing. Like when it said that, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like I remember it being defined in that way. Like maybe not in those exact words, but like that was the thing. It was like pop culture is like what, because it's popular. It's like pop music. The point of the term pop music, it was like, oh, it's the popular stuff that like the grand consensus of people like, but maybe not the critics. Like, you know what I mean? But usually, yeah, the critics too, because they're inside the sphere of people. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what, you know what I mean? And that's the way it's supposed to be. But I think now,
but
pop culture is probably thrown around in a looser way.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I mean, I've loved, I guess, what is considered popular culture for my entire life. Nerddom, fandom, geekdom, you know, it's always been part of my wheelhouse and the things that I gravitate towards. Yeah. But I didn't realize I was just ordinary.
You're one of the pack.
Can I be an educated, ordinary person?
I think you just have to get published somewhere and someone go, oh, this guy, yeah, he's smart. Like, you know what I mean? Because what makes one person's review better than Joe off the street? You know, like if ultimately someone's going to say in 7 words, this is a good movie, you should go see it. And then, well, that's like, I think that was 6. I don't count, no math. And then like someone else in like 1,500 words tells you like a bunch of different ways in which it's good and to go see it. Like ultimately you're getting the same point across.
It's good, it's bad, it's an opinion. Welcome to it.
Welcome to it. Yeah, you know what I mean? And you know, so what's a review? But you know, I think the thing is that like, you know, because of the internet age and this kind of thing where like so much more is popular than we thought was popular. Like things that we thought were kind of like only on the fringe or only so many people were into either now have bigger fan bases and fandoms because of the cross-pollination, or in the back in the days, it seemed anyway, it was just easier to find out like, oh, sure, like my little fandom is only probably like 100,000 people, but now we can see them all. You know what I mean? So let's just say that's like, you know, something random, stamp collecting, right? Like that's what that was like in the 90s. It was like, oh, finally message groups and all this stuff, and it's like 1,000 people. Now maybe it's bigger because of the cross-pollination.
Well, see, now that's an interesting point you bring up. So let's use Marvel as an example for this part of the
How did I
conversation.
Get here? I thought this was a funny show. I'm sorry. What? Go ahead.
Because you got me thinking now, damn it. Right. You're not supposed to get me thinking.
Yeah, you're right.
But Marvel, you know, you and I grew up reading Marvel comics, enjoying Marvel comics and what few Marvel cartoons there were as children, and so on and so forth. And there was a very small group of people, right? Mm-hmm. That was still pop, but that was not pop culture, but now Marvel is popular culture because instead of the 800 of us nerds and geeks that grew up with it and loved it, there's 8 million people that are being force-fed it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Like a lot of what is geek culture is now pop culture. Oh, that's because that's what they'll say, right? They'll say, oh, now it's mainstream. But it's not. Superheroes are mainstream. Comic books are still not mainstream. Like reading comic books is still not like, you know what I mean? But
fair enough.
You know what I mean? But that's a very unique, I think, situation with like comic books right now.
And comic book heroes aren't translating into comic book sales, right?
I mean, it goes up and goes down. It's an interesting time right now in the industry for stores. Like, you know, my local shop just closed up, Comic Book Jones. You know, the one that I was always talking about on your shows.
Yeah.
They finally, you know, he had to close the doors, and it's a tough industry for a mom and pop shop. Yeah. Because of the way that industry just kind of like how books get distributed, and how the client-customer relationships are, these kinds of things. Like, people want to put stuff on hold, and and you have to order comics 3 months ahead. You know what I mean? Because that's how magazine publishing has always worked, and there has to be lead time to get the books made. You know what I mean? But you have to solicit them, so you're taking like a risk and a gamble with a lot of purchases. Sure,
Right,
Batman's going
right.
to sell, and I kind of know how many are going to sell because, I know how many sold last month. But now they're doing something different with it. So it's like, are people going to like this? Are they not? You know what I mean? So it's a lot of juggling. And over the long term, if you don't find ways to, fucking eat up somebody's sales losses. But anyway,
How do we get on this topic?
I don't know.
Did you ask some question? You wanted to shit on something I loved, and that was pop culture. Was that what it was?
We ended up dissecting it because you know why? Because we're a couple of real pop culture nerd geeks, and we can't help our fucking selves at all. Do you have any ghost stories or unexplained phenomena type stories? I don't think you do because I heard
do.
you do.
I do. I do.
Do you really?
I really do. It's the God's honest truth.
Because
And
all right.
if you,
Because I thought you said on Podtoberfest that you kind of, or maybe that was aliens, and like you were not buying into aliens at all, and now I just kind of reframed it as unexplained phenomena. So,
well, unexplained phenomenon.
or
I
ghosts,
can't say that I have
that
ghost
kind of a thing.
ghost horror stories. Yeah, I have one, and it's the God's honest truth. And if you asked any of my family members, especially if you asked my mom, she would corroborate.
Oh,
Try and say that word.
Nope. Don't
corroborate.
You got it the first time. Don't try. Close enough. If I don't know.
Corroborate. When I was a small child,
That is scary.
I was
Mm.
I was haunted by what I perceived to be a witch, and it gave me night terrors, actually, like legitimate night terrors. And if anyone who says they have night terrors, I often ask them, do you really have night terrors? Because night terrors are when you are asleep, but you cannot distinguish from the fact that you are asleep, but you are in fact, you believe yourself to be awake.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
That you are living in the moment, but you're not actually living in the moment. You just don't know that.
Yeah. It's a fine.
So
line.
I used to have night terrors where I was haunted and attacked by this witch-like creature, this old lady. And it wasn't until many years later that I found out that the bedroom which I slept in through my entire childhood, the lady who had lived there died in that room.
Oh my god.
And that is my true ghost story.
That's about it. Okay.
Believe it? Do we have a Jack Palance drop? Can you be like, believe it or not?
All right, you gotta. Oh, here's Jack Palance. All right.
But it literally gave me I to this day, I'm 46 years old, and just having this momentary conversation with you, I've got chills because I can remember every moment of terror and fright, and it right out of the standard young adult horror movies you see today, right? Like
Sure.
I'm laying in bed, my mom closes the door in the darkness, and she's standing right there behind the door in the corner, steps out of the shadows. It's horrific, it's terrifying. Like those are the horror movie Hollywood tropes now, but I legit lived that.
Wow. Now here's the thing, right? Like, you were a little kid, though, right?
Yep.
Now, it happened a lot.
It happened fairly frequently, but what it led to and what was problematic is giving me night terrors.
Right. But just at night, you would just get into anxiety, kind of.
Yeah, so
Stuff.
I would fall asleep, and then I would think that I woke up, and I would start living my life, which very horrific and tragic things would happen during that,
Mm-hmm.
and I would actually be out of bed and moving, but unaware of that.
Ooh.
I would. It's like it's almost like being an insomniac, right? Because your
Sure.
brain isn't shutting down to sleep and rest.
Right.
It's living in this other life.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not like, it's this great thing where you're going out with your friends and having a beer at the bar, and that's your night terror.
Well,
It's
well,
like
if you're 6 or 7 and that's what you're dreaming, you got other problems.
you really started early.
I mean, your parents are doing something bad.
So yeah, I would
Alright.
it would just be, yeah, that was and to this day, if you ask my mom about it, she would launch into this thing about how she feels guilty,
Oh, wow.
and she wish she would have known, and she would have moved me out of the bedroom, and yeah,
All
good
right.
stuff. So there it is.
Well, there it is. That's gonna have a follow-up where we get your mom on the line and we get to the deep root of your fucking childhood trauma of being haunted by a witch.
Well,
And mostly,
Greg-
it sounds like she was just like fucking with you. Like, that's the problem with ghosts. They're always just like, they're always messing with you. They don't really seem to do anything too crazy violent. Like in the movies they do, but like, when you hear stories from people, it's like, and then she came into the room and she knocked over the books. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah, that wasn't happening in my
For you.
it was
okay.
man, just regaling you
Regaling.
with these stories. Like I'm reminded of these specific moments, and just telling you this, it makes it almost laughable because it is shit that you do see in like every horror movie that's got a ghost or some sort of apparition, or not even an apparition, because there was physical mass to her, right?
Right.
So very just but I lived that in these night terrors. And what that tells me, though, is that probably the writers and directors or the people that create these pieces of cinema probably know someone or experienced it themselves to put it there,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
To be in the collective subconscious of the human race. These experiences have to exist in one form or another.
Yeah.
Wait, backtrack.
Yeah,
you
sure.
were gonna do your best Jack Palance.
Oh, that's... The key to a Jack Palance, I won't say that I do a good Jack Palance, but the key to a Jack Palance is that, like, it's a lot of breathing.
It is.
So the key is you have to say, Ripley's, believe it or not.
That's so right, though.
Because if you remember him from Batman as well, with Michael Keaton, he was always like, Jack, you're my number one guy.
That's or Curly in City Slickers.
Right.
But Ripley's Believe It or Not, like I remember being a little kid.
Oh yeah,
growing up,
it was
watching that
spooky
all the time.
It was kind of spooky as a little kid.
That's a good question. Hey, what happened to those guys? Those guys that hosted shows where you'd hear them and they were so iconic. Like who did
That's Incredible with Bruce Davidson.
I don't think he was that iconic.
No.
But That's Incredible was good. But Jack Palance with Ripley's Believe It or Not, and
Sure.
who did Unsolved Mysteries?
Oh, that's my guy, Robert Stack.
Yeah, like where are those people in television today?
Right. Well,
For any given show, name a show that has such an iconic voice. It doesn't have to be an iconic person per se, but that does those intros where they're so melodramatic.
because you know
And,
what
like,
happens is that, like, nowadays when they do those shows, I think, like, when they find the exact kind of counterpart to that actor at that time, like
Yeah.
now, like we're like, it's Dean Cain. Like, why? Like, or whoever. Like, we kind of like dismiss the B-level actor that they get to do it. It's like, oh, this guy finally got work.
He did replace him on Ripley's Believe It or
I
Not,
know.
didn't he?
Yeah, on some
my
show
God.
like that,
What a
on some
terrible
bullshit.
replacement
Right.
for such an
Right.
iconic show.
Have you seen the memes with Jonathan Frakes where they take that show that he did where it was like we're gonna tell you like 4 crazy stories and only one of them is true,
Yes.
and now they just take all those wacky questions he would say like at the beginning of each segment. What if I told you a refrigerator could kill a person? Like, you know what I mean? And then like it's like 25 of those in a row. What if I told you a goldfish? You know what I mean? Could stop a
Oh, but
truck.
That's great.
You know what I
I'm gonna
mean?
Watch those now.
Oh my God! I forget what they
I
call
know the
it.
show you're talking about, but I haven't seen the meme,
Fact or
but-
fiction.
Fact or fiction.
But yeah. Those shows.
How fun would it have been to write those bullshit stories?
Right. You're just
Right?
waiting for that gig when you're on that writing team. You're like,
I called Boulder Dash.
right. You're just trying to write the craziest shit. Is it too crazy? Yeah. There's like drugs and stuff. We don't do that.
Nowadays, you could pretty much write that, and you'd be like, "Yeah, I don't know," because that's probably true.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't watch enough of it to start to see the pattern. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
to be able to like spot the fake one a mile away, but you probably could, I would guess, after a while, right? Grant, let's play a game called Wordy Larry. And the setup on this is that sometimes in life, our mouths, maybe they move too fast for our brains, and like new words get created, but they lack definition. You know what I mean? Well, this is anyway what happens with me. I like stupid words fall out of my mouth, and I'm like, hey, I wonder what that means, because it's not a real word.
That's me. Every time I open up my mouth and noise comes out.
You know what I mean? So maybe you could help me with a couple here, right?
All right.
And
I will do my best.
I don't. I've had these words written down for a while, so I don't really remember the instances that they came out of my mouth. I was probably being goofy too, so who knows? But the first one is skirtle. SKURDLE. Skirtle.
That skirtle actually is something. That is actually a skirt made out of Skittles.
Skirtle. I know.
That is.
You got me.
That is a girdle and a skirt together. Is that right?
Maybe that's what that was.
It's a skirtle. It's
Yeah,
a skirt and
I
a girdle as a one piece. That it's a one-stop shopping for women.
Sure. I think we figured it out. I don't think there's really any deeper to go. It's either that or it's a skirt girdle that's covered in Skittles. It might have been bedazzled,
Taste
with
the
Skittles.
rainbow.
Taste my skirtle.
Taste-
Well, now it sounds like something definitely different, right?
Oh my God.
Taste my skirtle. All right. So the other one. I don't know. I feel like we got that one. So the other one.
Taste my skirtle too many times. Now I'm stuck on it.
It's gonna be on the t-shirts now. It's gonna
My skirtle.
have a picture of your face in a word balloon. It's gonna say, "Taste my skirtle."
Everybody will be coming up to me going, "What the hell's a skirtle?"
And do you have any on you? I would love to sample. All right. The next one is tungle. TUNGLE. Tungle.
Tungle.
Tungle. You can barely even get it out right.
You say tungle or kungle?
Tungle with a T. TUNGLE.
So, I mean, I'm hearing the word tongue.
Sure.
I'm hearing the word gull.
Yeah. I mean, those are the phonetic sounds.
I got nothing. Tungle.
Tungle. Tingle in the tongue? Tongue tingle?
That'd be tongue tingle.
Yeah.
That'd be tingle? Nope, that's tingle. What the?
I see what you're trying to do. Trying to flip it around the other way.
I'm trying. I did. I flipped it around the other way. It worked out the same.
It worked out just perfectly.
Tungle. We'll have to come back to tungle.
I think. Well, all right.
I got nothing. What you got?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's.
What was happening when you said it?
I don't know. I mean, maybe I might have. I do kind of feel like it might be a naughty place. Like it's like the taint or something.
Don't you put the tungle on the taint?
Well, just like, while you're down there, just play with my tungle. Yeah, come on, just a pinky. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I was trying not to go there, but I did. So
Cool. There you went.
Wash your ears. And I guess I got one more here. We'll go with Twizen.
Twizen?
Twizen.
It's impossible not to think of Twizzlers when you say Twizen.
Sure, maybe it's like a past tense of. What's a tense of? I was twizzing. Well, it's E-N, not I-N, but.
I was twizzing. I was whizzing while I was eating Twizzlers. I was twizzing. There's two of us, so we're twinsins. We're twizzing.
Twizzins. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
singular.
Is that like, it's, you know what it is?
Yeah.
It's two sticks of Twizzlers that are twins.
Well, it's any two Twizzlers because they all look pretty much the same then?
Yeah, but these are identical.
So, identical
You know
cousins.
how there's snowflakes, they're all unique and all that stuff.
Sure.
These Twizzins, they're the exact same. They're
Right.
like they did not break the mold with these two, and it's like a 4-leaf clover if you open up a pack of Twizzlers and they're in there.
Oh, I see.
But you've really got to look.
Yeah, I was
see
gonna
it.
say.
You know what I mean?
You really
they're
got.
stuck together. They're stuck together pretty good.
Yeah, and you gotta kind of go over them with a fine-tooth comb.
Well, what
like,
is
you
it?
know?
Twizzins, it's the two pieces of Twizzlers that are exactly the same that are stuck together because the knife didn't split them apart, so you can't separate them.
Right, it's like a singular thing, right?
They're
It's like
Siamese Twizzins.
right. So instead of a Twizzler, it's a Twizzin because they're bonded. Like, you know what I mean? They're like Siamese Twizzlers, right?
They're conjoined.
The conjoined Twizzlers. I think that.
There it is.
There it is.
Twizzins. Conjoined Twizzlers.
Conjoined Twizzlers. All right, we got it, folks. We got it. We handled it. We figured it out.
Oh my God.
So, Grant, I want to put you through a scenario. Okay? I'm going to lay out a scenario here, and we'll you take it how you take it, all right? Aliens have landed. They seem nice, and they want you. So, first question is, why do you think they want you, maybe? Any kind of inclination on why aliens would want you?
They enjoy long-winded conversation where they're always wrong.
I'll accept that, and I'll move on. I had no idea what the answer would be to that. I just injected it into the scenario because I thought it might be fun. Okay. Well, it turns out that you've got like that extra good DNA that they want. They want your cells, and they need a bunch of them, like 2 limbs worth. Like, so, like to save their species. And they're nice aliens. Will you donate your arms, your legs, or nothing, and you'll just kind of refuse?
Because they want my DNA?
Yeah, I mean,
Can
look,
I just give them the socks next
no,
to my
they
bed?
no, well, gross. No, because they need a
Just kidding.
lot.
I gotta interrupt your whole bit here
Okay.
to say, who uses socks, right? Like, that's always been this ongoing joke in male society. Like,
Oh,
who
yeah.
does that? Who really does that? Who's like, I got a sock lying next to my bed. I think I'll just jerk off in that.
Well, I think there's
It's
2
been in my feet all day. I think I'll put that up against my genitals.
that stinky foot sweat
Like,
thing.
That's the dumbest thing ever, really.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I
People
always thought
do
it
that, right?
was that.
People can't really do that, right?
I look. All of these things start somewhere.
It's just a thing that happens in pop culture, right?
Right, exactly. It's like a myth. It doesn't. No one ever really did it, or then got the idea from hearing about it. No.
Totally derailed that bit. So the aliens want my arms, my legs, or nothing. What do I give them
Yeah.
so that they may grow and prosper?
Right.
Well, I'd be willing to give an arm.
So you would like to negotiate?
I would.
Because I can represent the aliens if you want me to. I'll try.
Yeah. Why do I have to give them? Why do they like? There's plenty of DNA in my arm.
According to them, like they need a lot. You know what I mean? Like you got the good shit. Like, you know, they kind of like came all the way here because they, you know, their technology, their science is saying there's only one source in the universe, and we need about like X amount because we got to process it. You know what I mean? And then like, I don't know, give it to
All right.
their people.
So what you're getting at here is that I got to give up 2 limbs. I either give up 2 arms or 2 legs.
or nothing,
that's
or nothing, or you
or
can
nothing,
you
or
can
nothing.
refuse.
Well, yeah, you know. So
They seem nice.
I do these would you rather's every day as a intellectual exercise at work with a group of people. That's kind of how we start our day.
How's that going?
It goes really good. Well, for me, because I'm long-winded and I overthink everything, right?
I'm surprised anybody does this with you still.
I put a lot of work into trying to take these would you rather serious, no matter how obnoxiously stupid they are. But sometimes they're pretty good. And this one, I'm going to try and apply the same kind of effort.
Okay.
And so here's my thought process. there's two ways this can go.
Mhm.
If I choose to give limbs, I'm choosing to give my legs so that I still simply have the use of my hands. It's no problem for me to try and learn how to work a wheelchair. I'm going to get a lot more done without my legs than I would get done without my arms. So if I choose to give limbs, I'm giving up my legs. That's it, for the long term remainder of my life. Those are the limbs I can see myself going without, because I'm going to want to hug my kids. I'm going to want to hold my wife. I'm going
Sure.
to want to grab things.
I think
mean-
the world is actually probably more equipped to handle a person who doesn't have legs than a person who doesn't have arms. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
You know what I
Agreed.
mean? The wheelchair
Right?
is a lot probably easier to live your life than. I mean, granted, you can walk without your arms, but there's no like. I mean, I guess
But
you can get.
could you balance? Could you walk a tightrope without your arms?
I guess
No.
you'd have to figure out like a helmet
To
that's
be
got
fair,
the
you
long.
couldn't walk a tightrope without your legs either. So
Well, you could hang. You could shimmy across.
you could shimmy. Right now, to go deeper, if I said no, I'm not giving up either, which is probably more accurate, because I would think to myself, look, clearly these aliens got the wrong information, and I am not the person they are looking for. And as much as I'd like to have an ego, as much as I'd like to think, oh my God, I'm special, I'm important, I'm the one, I would have to look at myself in the mirror every day and go, I really pulled a sham on these aliens. And when they get back home and they realize what kind of bullshit they just went through, they're going to come back. They're going to wipe out the human race. It's going to be my fault because I didn't have the courage to say, hey, I'm not important. Like, there's other people you could probably take and you'll be better off for it.
So, final answer was.
Well, I gave you two. I gave you two
It
final
was a
answers.
twofer. It was a
The-
twofer.
It's a twofer. It's
But it's
if I
not
have
like
to, if I give up limbs, I'm giving up my legs.
Yeah.
If I don't give up any of my limbs, there's the reason why.
All right. Well, I mean, I was hoping you'd pick a lane.
Pick a lane, Grant. All right, I'm not giving up any of my limbs.
Oh, Grant. It turns out they weren't nice at all.
What?
They're not happy that you won't save them. They need this. So you killed everybody in society, man. Sorry.
No, I killed everybody in society
You
because
killed everybody in there.
I gave them my limbs, which they copied my DNA
Oh,
and realized
oh.
that it was terrible.
Oh, well, I mean, that's, yeah, sure. I mean, okay, fine. But, okay, I misunderstood. I thought you were saying you're not going to give them anything.
Well, I gave them.
You gave them anything, nothing really in the long term, but you did give them limbs. It just turned out to be
Right,
worth
so
nothing.
By not giving them anything, it was the same as if I gave them limbs, because they're going to realize that I was not the person they should have
don't,
been.
but they don't believe that. They thought you were the one. You know what I mean? Their sign says that you're the one, and now that you won't do it, they're just like, okay, we have to destroy the Earth. That's not cool. They're like, if we're gonna go, you guys are gonna go too.
Okay, but what do I have to do for them not to destroy the Earth? Like, I feel like this is a lot of responsibility on my shoulders, Bill.
Yes, it is. That was the point of it.
I don't want this responsibility.
Yeah, man. It was just about like, you know, I don't know. It's just like, you know, this is a
This
sick
is a
and
would you-
dying.
This is a would you rather that ended in the death of every human being. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
you didn't realize it at the time. It's like you know, it's like almost a no-win. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's a fucked up situation.
I don't like the position you put me in, Bill. This
It's
is
not
very
me. It
uncomfortable.
was the aliens. I didn't do it. It was the aliens.
Okay, fair enough.
So, Grant, it's time for something we're going to call 30-second recommendations. I heard
Okay.
the kids on the street are calling it 30-sec Rex, but I don't know. That might take over. That might.
Now, when you say 30 seconds, you're asking me to recommend something, and I only have 30 seconds.
You only have 30 seconds.
Wait, so I just need a little clarification before you finish clarifying.
That might have been coming, but I'll concede.
You're asking me.
You.
Like, that question might hold well for other people, but you're asking me, Grant,
Yes. Correct.
to hold down 30 seconds.
And only 30 seconds. Like, so, you know, I remember on your show, you used to give some people like a few minutes to tell the world something they could fill the time with, you know, if they could.
Yep.
And that you wouldn't talk until their time was up.
That's correct.
So you used to give them like 3 minutes or some shit.
3 minutes.
I'm giving you 30 seconds to recommend something, anything that you might want to recommend to people.
That's like putting crack in front of an addict who's never known sobriety.
Right.
And then being like, don't smoke that.
I think for some people, this will be an easy segment. I think for some people, it might be a challenge. I think that if I gave them enough time to kind of think about it a little bit, they might be able to handle it pretty well.
Sure, okay.
All right?
I've got it.
So,
good to go.
Let's
do it.
At the word go...
Can I start? I'm ready. Are we there?
And go.
My recommendation would be to for everyone to listen to Dax Shepard's Armchair Expert. I have found it to be an amazing podcast that helps me day in and day out. Every episode, listening to him and his guests, whether they be actual experts or celebrities, because Dax utilizes his years and years of drug and alcohol sobriety
5 seconds.
in everyday conversation, and it's healthy and great, and I love it.
That's it. That's your time.
That was terrible. My God.
That's it. I don't care
Can we
anymore.
talk about it now?
Nope. Nope. You got your 30. You got your 30 seconds. We can talk about.
Was there really 30 seconds?
Yes.
I'm going to listen back to this episode, and I'm going to set a timer. And if I realize you shorted me at all,
I have a 30-second countdown clock. That's like a little jingle I got from like a game show. That's like a European game show or whatever. And it's literally, I think it's like 31 seconds, to be honest with you. So, I mean, if you want to talk about how you performed, we could talk about that. But
I don't
the window is closed.
I don't think I performed well, because the minute you said I had 30 seconds and I locked on to what I wanted to recommend, I was like, I knew all the things I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, and then I opened my mouth to say it, and it didn't come out the way I needed to say it.
No, but I think you'll be surprised, because I think you weren't kind of like probably like doing an autopilot-y kind of thing where like you weren't hearing what you actually were saying when you were saying it. Like if you listen back, you might be surprised about how well of a recommendation you gave for that. Because you said like what it was, why you liked it, and then like not only just like why you liked it, but what you got out of it.
As long as it sounded like I couldn't recommend it enough, like I would continue to recommend it if you gave me more time.
Yes.
I would recommend just how amazing that recommendation was.
Yes, I think
that I'm
so.
no longer allowed to give details about.
That's correct. We have to speak of it as a thing we will not name. Or a thing we will not elaborate further upon.
I will not elaborate on just how much I recommend that.
Okay, great. I thought you were gonna say it, and I was gonna be like, "Crap! Now I gotta find like the beep. I gotta like beep it out." All right. Well, thanks for playing that. What was that?
Huh?
I'm sorry. I thought I heard a mumble. But I'll ignore it. All right. So as we get close to wrapping this up,
Yes, sir.
I would like to say your mustache does disturb me a little bit.
It's big, right? Like it's huge, right?
It's so fucking it's
You want to know what's amazing? Is hey, look at this thing.
yeah. Oh my God! You leaned in closer to the screen. Fuck. Oh, I hate
Right
it.
now, what's amazing is if I don't have a brush, but man, if I comb this thing straight down,
Oh
I
my
am the
God.
walrus.
Yes, it looks like a curtain. I bet. It must look like a curtain. Oh
The thing is,
my
it grows
God.
It grows in the natural handlebar state.
Yeah. That seems like a
So
thing.
in order for me to get the walrus look, I actually have to comb it down, dry it. I have to work it into that.
Yeah. Do you have like mustache like oils and waxes?
I don't.
Oh man.
I don't
See?
put any of that. And here's the thing: is that mine is actually, the hairs are actually go all the way from the center underneath my nose,
Oh
right?
my God. Yeah.
Outward, and most handlebar mustaches, what they actually do is they comb it straight down in the middle,
Mm,
and they cut across the top of the lip, so that
sure.
only the ends are actually the longer. So yeah, it's
yeah, it is a little different than the
but it's
norm.
but it's become my, for lack of a better term, and I swear to you, on all that is good and holy, I don't mean this from an egotistical place or even how ridiculous and ludicrous it's going to sound. And I was not the first to say it, but I actually embrace it and agree with it now because I understand the concept, and it's my brand.
It's your brand. I know you're gonna fucking say it.
It's my brand, right? Like, here's the thing. My kids' friends, they all recognize me by it. Their parents recognize me by it.
Oh, sure.
People that don't know my name, I'm the guy with the mustache.
Right.
You know what
exactly. Exactly.
Because-
You're one of the guys, like, of the world, of the world famous. Hey, that's that guy.
All the ladies at the gas station recognize me, right?
Yeah, they all get uncomfortable when I'm around, but whatever.
All the ladies at the local, coffee shop, they recognize me. Now, mind you, they're, again, they're 3-4 times my age, but just the same,
Just
I'm
the same.
recognizable.
I'm memorable. They remember me.
Yeah, it's a thing,
Well,
I guess.
I will
don't know.
say that, like, at least you're not an asshole.
Well,
because
so that's the thing that worries me, right? Is that even though I'm clearly an older gentleman,
yeah,
I still, when I have this on my face, I think, well, this is like, to me, I feel, I don't know, I want to say classy. Classy is probably the wrong word. It sounds too highfalutin.
Mhm.
Regal? Is regal the right word? I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure, but I mean, you
How's
definitely.
How's this?
Mm.
I grew it out. I looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time in a long time, I felt I like the way I look. Like, I liked, and I'm not the kind of person who has like this inborn natural arrogance or self-confidence.
No, but it's like when you find a style of a thing that works for you that feels comfortable. It's like when you find a different haircut that feels like a good haircut. It's like, oh, this is not what I thought would have looked good on me or felt right, but it does. And if anybody's got a problem with it, they can fuck off. You know what I mean? Because I like it, and
but
I
do worry about how it
is perceived.
Yeah, like the idea that I would be perceived as a hipster or a millennial because like certain facial hair and beard styles are very like pop culture.
You're looking very Oliver Queen from the comic books. Yes, you're doing a great Green Arrow.
No shit. If I could afford the costume, I definitely would have thought of that.
You have a year. You can make one.
So I have this. I'm not, sports. We're not sports people, but somebody gave me a free Green Bay Packers hoodie.
Okay.
Right, and it's Green Arrow green, and
okay.
I love putting that thing on and putting the hood on.
Yeah.
And then you could see my mustache and my beard hanging out from it, and I always think, oh, so a guy at work actually 3D printed me a Green Arrow mask. Turned out so cool.
Wow.
But yeah.
But yeah, I would think that don't get any closer, please. I feel like something's gonna fall out. Oh my God. Yeah, see, up close, no good. From a distance, it's fine.
Now you sound like my wife. With the way she looks, she doesn't say it. She doesn't say it, but I can see it in her eyes when I'm that close. She's like, is he going to come any closer?
And you see that she's looking at it. Why is she looking at my lip?
I'm looking deep into her eyes, and she's looking at my mustache like she's about to be attacked by whatever's grown there.
It's going to latch onto me now.
The trouble with tribbles.
All right, Grant, I don't know if you know that sound, but that means that it's lightning round time. Okay? This is the game that's hard to lose because the only wrong answer is no answer. Okay? But you gotta say something in 5 seconds, because it's called a lightning round.
All right.
It's all about doing it quick. All right.
I'm ready.
Grant.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Not really, but let's do it anyway.
That's the perfect answer to question 0. I guess that was
so not ready. I feel so much pressure right now, and I don't have an umbrella. Great.
Grant, Sally sold seashells by the seashore, but where the hell did she get them?
Laundromat.
Grant, what is 2 in the bush really worth?
Child support.
Grant, the real lesson of Little Red Riding Hood is...
Don't wolf grandma.
Don't wolf grandma. That's great. That's great. We'll take it. Grant, name a thing that you can find in every dollar store.
$1.
That's true. That's true. We'll take it. Grant, where does the Hulk buy his clothes?
Men's Big and Tall.
That's correct. Grant, who's afraid of Virginia Woolf?
She is. I am. Everyone?
We are. You is?
Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf? What?
I don't know. Next one here, Grant. What's the name of that heavy metal band you were never in?
The Vermicious Canids.
That's correct. Grant, if a train leaves the station at 2 p.m., but it passes through a time vortex outside of Chattanooga at 5 p.m., where is it at 9 p.m.?
The Dark Side of the Moon.
Correct. Grant, what is Clark Kent's favorite movie?
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Grant, question number 10. Who's got your nose? Who's got your nose? Who's got your nose?
Wait, is that the question?
Yes. Like a little kid, you know? You like a little kid, you take his nose.
Uncle Bob.
There you go, folks. That's how you play Lightning Round. One answer for every question, no matter how good, no matter how bad. Grant Markham, thanks for playing.
Can we rematch that? Is there a redo? Do you have 10 more? Like, I feel like those are really made for people who are witty and funny on the fly. I felt so much pressure. I'm having palpitations.
Grant, I'm sorry to tell you that is how the game is played. And you played it well. You played it correctly. If we were giving away money, you would have gotten all of it.
Oh. How much money would you have been giving away?
All that we had. I don't know. You pick a number. It's all make-believe. Fuck it. You pick the number. How much would you have liked to have won?
$52 trillion.
There you go, folks. Welcome to the $52 trillion lightning round game. Our first winner, Grant Markham.
Sweet. Feel good about that.
Well, folks, did we learn anything today? I guess we learned Grant Markham was haunted by a ghost lady when he was little. And I'd say he's reluctant to give his limbs to save an alien race, but I can't blame him for that. And in my quest to learn more about his mustache, I think I end up learning a bit too much about it. But anyway, look, I knew Grant would be perfect for this show's relaunch, for this version, for this new start. He's fun, he's smart, he's wittier than he thinks, and damn it, this was the proof. So, Grant, if you're listening, great show, buddy. So glad I had you on. Thanks for doing it. Anybody listening has anything to say, they can email the podcast@wickedtheory.com, your questions, comments, and such. But I'd really like to hear from you guys what you think so far about this new format. Like it, don't like it, maybe something's too much, let me know. You can also get involved by sending opening sponsors like the one I did at the beginning of this. You can send stuff for every game I played with Grant, because I'll be doing those bits more with other guests. So send your made-up words for Wordulary. Remember, it should kind of sound like a real word, but we find a definition for it. Send in hypothetical situations and scenarios, like I played with Grant with the aliens. Remember that? Send in your 10 questions for a lightning round. Just no questions that are yes, no answer type questions. You can also submit ideas, games, whatever you want to do that you think would fit here. All the kudos go to you guys on air. You get your shout out. And looking forward to hearing from you guys in any way, shape, or form. You can find me on Twitter at Wicked Theory. And thanks for listening, and look forward to talking to you guys again soon. This is the Wicked Theory Podcast, and for that, I apologize.